We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.
I am so happy that our producer is playing coffee jazz music because here I am enjoying a tasty coffee beverage and I'm getting coffee jazz music.
I got mine as well.
It's almost as if this were planned. Not a snowball's chance in hell. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand spanking new edition of Granite State Live. Great to have you along on this Tuesday evening, the 3rd day of January 2025. I'm your host, Keith Hanson, the unapologetic contrarian conservative, heavily armed as always, never apologizing for my toxic white masculinity, because I can't help it. I was born this way. Never apologizing for my Christian faith.
Hi, and your co-host,
Hi,
Julian.
did I wake you up?
I'm awake now. Julian Acciard, the Blue Collar Intellectual, host of Blue Collar Intellectual podcast, author, and, you know, I'm ready to break some narratives and piss some people off, and I'm going to keep you guessing, and hopefully you get educated somewhere between me triggering you.
I'm just going to enjoy my coffee beverage here for a minute, because this is really good, actually. I just need it because we're going to get fired up tonight. We got a great show coming up. We're going to talk about Democrats behaving badly here in the Granite State, of course. We're going to talk about Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, by the way, Julian.
Pride in what, though?
Pride in my toxic, white, masculine, heterosexual, Christian, whatever. I mean, throw a pejorative in there. I guess they're all pejoratives, depending on who you're talking with, but I think, I'm proud. Are you proud?
I'm proud of the things I accomplished, and I'm proud of who I am. I don't know if I'm necessarily proud about the stuff that supposedly this month is supposed to be about, like who we sleep with or what we identify as, which, by the way, I identify is a non-binary attack helicopter. No, scratch that. I identify as a non-binary A-10 Warthog.
I keep saying, you know, if you can be whatever you want to be, then I think you should put red and blue lights on your car, and when you get pulled over, you can, you know, say that you're identifying as a police officer, and we'll see how well that goes for you.
I identify as Will Smith, and I'd like half of his bankroll.
I don't know, you know, with the numbers that the state police have right now, and the number of massholes that continue to come up here doing 125 plus miles an hour on our highways, they might actually just recruit you. Hey, you got red and blues. That's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just target the Massachusetts plates.
You know, I would be happy if the massholes came up here. If you're going to do 125 miles an hour, please do it in a far left lane, please. Not in the merging lane where you stop people from getting on and off the highway. And if you're going to come up here, please just don't be the asshole that speeds up in front of me and then slams on their brakes. You brake check me. I'm going to pull my truck up behind you, and I'm going to push you down the highway at 100 miles an hour until eventually you get the fuck out the way.
I got a simple solution. Don't come up here. You got beaches. You got mountains. You got everything you need down there. Plus, you got your socialist, communist, apologetic, trans-friendly, illegal immigrant-friendly, everything that you voted for. So why do you insist on coming up here?
You know why? So that they can lecture us. You know, I was just having this conversation. We're in a very large space on X today, and there was a guy talking about how, these elitists like to always come into your community and go, "Oh my God, you live like this? I'd like to help you and let's suggest that we put in a dog park and a walk through the neighborhood and, some more street lights, and we regulate what you do, what you wear, what you eat, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, no, you could take your shit and go back across the fucking Massachusetts line, back to where you came from. We don't want you here. We don't want your taxes. We don't want your policy. Just keep your dumb shit over there. You can lecture me when you have roads that you can drive on without having four-wheel drive.
That's actually something I got to be honest with you. I was down in Mass, still have family down in Massachusetts, so we were down there this past weekend. It's unbelievable the condition of the roads.
Oh, it is insane. It's like every time I roll through Mass, we're Tokyo drifting around potholes, hoping to God that I don't have to replace my entire suspension.
Well, this section of Salisbury and Newburyport, there is no Tokyo drifting. This is just, hey, listen, bite the bullet and just schedule your alignment.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And they're of course they're big on their inspections. So you get to do the inspections. You can find out how much damage the roads that you pay taxes ostensibly to fix and to maintain. The infrastructure is amazing for a state that has such high taxes. Their infrastructure is absolute garbage. Garbage.
It's insane. And didn't they just don't they get hit with regular lawsuits for, shutting down roads 3 months in advance of construction saying that it's under construction, and 3 months after construction saying that it's under construction, so that they can hit you with double the fines and penalties when you drive through those areas? And I'm sitting there going, how do you have the same road under construction for years on end, and I don't see a fucking single thing fixed?
No, nothing's ever fixed. I was sitting in traffic on 495 because somebody, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to shut the Mass Pike, a section of the Mass Pike, down. And this was during a weekday. This was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This was, I'm going to say it was probably 5 weeks ago. And it took me 27 minutes to go 1.9 miles. And I was seething. Like, who is sitting there in the Mass Highway Department going, I should do this in a Boston accent, but that this is a good idea. I think we should do this. I think we should shut down the Mass Pike because this makes a lot of sense. Do your construction at night. Now they do that, but you really have to call into question the critical thinking skills of a person that decides to shut down heavily traveled portions of highway in an area that's already dealing with traffic congestion. And this is the solution. Well, we're gonna shut this down. This was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This was this is absolute insanity. But that's what you get when you have Democrats running the show. They don't know how to spend money. Well, no. They actually do know how to spend money.
They're professionals.
They waste money, I should say. So they know how to waste money. And,
like a teenage girl with daddy's credit card.
Oh, it's almost like Karen Liat Hill. Oh, that's called a segue, kids. All right, so So Karen Liat Hill, for those of you that do not know Karen Liat Hill, allow me to introduce this stellar representative, for lack of a better term. It's scary. She is now calling herself, there she is with Buckles the Clown, Ray Buckley, the pederast head of the New Hampshire Democrat Party. So she's calling herself now the top Democrat in state government because she is an executive counselor. So Karen Liat Hill, she cut her teeth here in Lebanon, in the city of Lebanon, New Hampshire, where she was one of the individuals that was calling for the defund the police. Now, this is back when Chief Richard Mello was chief of police up there. And I know that the budget was cut, I want to say at least 10%, perhaps 15%. So they actually had to put a moratorium on hiring new officers and had to let some officers go because they didn't have the funding because, of course, this demand to defund the police and, ACAB and all that crap.
Now, is this at the same time when all the law enforcement agencies in the state are also hurting for personnel and having recruitment issues over the past, 5 years?
Well, this was going back to this is my WNTK days now, and in all full disclosure, so Karen was a regular on my morning show.
Okay.
I had a good relationship with her in terms of, I mean, we were diametrically opposite in terms of our political positions and even our value structures, but we had a good conversation.
She was willing to have a conversation.
She was one of the few. Her and former New Hampshire State Senator Peter Burling,
Who I've had
a phenomenal on-air relationship with.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'll give credit where it's due.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, anybody who knows, and this is one of the things, okay, yeah, I mean, I skewer Democrats, and I skewer Republicans, too. I'm an equal opportunity skewerer. But I've said, you know, if somebody wants to come on, and Jonah Wheeler, perfect example. We talked about having Jonah Wheeler on. I will absolutely sit down and have a respectful, non-skewering conversation with anybody because I believe it's important to keep the dialogue going. That's absolutely critical. So Karen was one of the few Democrats who would willingly come on the program. And we would have regular conversations. Now, you know, it's kind of funny because she was for defunding the police, but yet she would make her restaurant. Now, she used to own a place called the Lebanon City Diner.
Okay.
Nice little breakfast joint. And I guess the thing went under during COVID. But she used to host Coffee with a Cop. It was like usually once every 3 months. There was a monthly Coffee with a Cop where Chief Richard Mello and some of his command staff would go out and they would have coffee and meet members of the community, and you could ask questions of local law enforcement. And so I would do live broadcasts at the Lebanon City Diner when she was hosting and when Chief Richard Mello was there. And so it's kind of interesting, the duality of Karen Liat Hill, where, you know, we want to defund the police, but yet we're going to turn around and we're going to extend the use of our restaurants. So I never really kind of understood where what the motivation of the duality happened to be. But why are we going after Karen Liat Hill? Well, because according to and this is not according, this has been going on for a while, but a good article came out last night on Inside Sources. Another fiscal fiasco for Dem Liat Hill as court declares her in default. As the New Hampshire court just called her a deadbeat, Executive Counselor Karen Liat Hill calls herself the top Democrat in state government. That's from an article in the Valley News. But a New Hampshire court just called her a deadbeat because a court declared Liat Hill in default over her failure to repay $4,234 in outstanding credit card debt. Okay, now, that in and of itself, a lot of people have defaulted on credit cards. We understand that, and people don't show up to court, so the credit card companies get a default judgment, and, you know, your credit's dinged for 7 years or whatever the case may be. Okay, that's fine. It's not so much the fact that she was in default of a credit card. It's the financial fiasco that she has surrounding campaign funds. And this is where it gets interesting. It's in the latest of a series of financial faux pas by a state official whose job is to prevent fraud and overspending in state contracts. I'm reading from the Inside Sources article. Liat Hill is already under investigation by New Hampshire Attorney General's Office Election Law Unit over questions about her campaign spending in her race for executive council. The longtime Lebanon City Council and four-term Grafton County Treasurer spent thousands of campaign dollars on personal items like $190 for a ferry ride to the Hamptons, $181 to register her car, and $250 for a haircut at the Rio Blanco Salon. There were also two unexplained checks totaling $1,350 corresponding to two court cases against Liat Hill, one for a violation for driving with a suspended license and another involving a debt collection on a car loan. In the current credit card debt case, Liat Hill stopped making payments about the same time she started running for executive council. Now, again, one of the things that it's amazing how the state of New Hampshire has had the ability to put people in positions that clearly they have no business being in. Mm-hmm. Might I remind people, there was a judge that was appointed here in New Hampshire, despite the fact that they had just served time within the past 3 or 4 years in the state of Florida in a state prison on felony convictions.
I seem to remember in Atkinson, New Hampshire. Now, I grew up in Atkinson, New Hampshire, and I have a long history with my family dealing with the corruption in Atkinson, New Hampshire. But Billy Baldwin was town selectman and was if I remember correctly, he was a serving police chief in Atkinson at the same time as serving as police chief in Pennsylvania. And I'm wondering how all of this manages to, and the town was supposedly very forgiving of the fact that he's double dipping both a salary here, a salary there, and in a town position, in a town that he's claiming primary residency in both Pennsylvania and New Hampshire. How the hell this stuff continues to keep happening, and people are just willing to be okay with it because, oh, Billy Baldwin, I've known him for going on 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
blah,
he's
blah,
a
blah,
good
blah, blah.
guy. He's not a bad guy. He means well. He's just
Now-
and there are people out there who are going to defend Leon Hill for this. Oh, it's just a misunderstanding. She's campaigning, so and she's got to use her car to be able to campaign.
And
Well,
like you, I don't have a problem with Billy Baldwin when he, personally, he was very gracious when I came back from Iraq. Thanked me home, welcomed me home for my service. Thanked me for my service and all that stuff. But I find it interesting because he served under Police Chief Phil Constantino, who ended up having multiple major suits in the town of Atkinson for using the police department for harassment and all sorts of stuff against town officials and my family in particular. I can't get past how often this stuff happens and how willing people are to give people a pass over stuff that, if it were on the other side of the aisle, you sure as hell wouldn't give them a pass on. If it were anybody else, you would not be giving them a pass. If you were a Republican with these types of issues, they'd be running you up the flagpole. As a matter of fact, they're still crying and flipping out over a Caroline Levitin campaign finance issues. So I'm like, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, right? Or at least it should be.
At least in theory, it should be. But hey, listen, the Republican Party isn't exempt from this as well. I mean, you've got a multiple DUI felon, not a felon. I'm sorry, he's not a felon, but a multiple DUI offender who was your party chairman. You had Kyle Tasker, who was using computers to try to pick up 13-year-old tail.
That's nasty.
And he was selling dope in the state house to other Republicans.
Yep.
Like the former vice chair of the New Hampshire Republican Party, who was caught buying dope from him, Pam Tucker. So so
I didn't know about that.
yeah, it's kind of amazing. But we can forgive these. Corky Messner. Oh yeah, Mister, I like to beat my wife and have restraining orders.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was amazing. It was funny because when I was doing the WSMN show, I was working on getting his former wife to come on and have a conversation about what life with Corky was like. Because, if you're asking the voters of the state of New Hampshire to get into bed with you, let's actually talk to somebody who actually did, sadly, have that role. Wow. So, here's the thing. If you are going to represent somebody...
Did that just not make it into the cycle?
Oh, there was money that was paid back and forth. There was money that was paid, so that way certain things were squashed because certain things, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about that. There's certain things that it's just not nice to talk about in certain circles. And this is one of the reasons why I really despise politics. And to be honest, I can't stand the people that are involved. And that's why I'm an equal opportunity excoriator. I'm an equal opportunity skewerer. Because if your ass isn't squeaky clean, then first of all, you have no business representing people who do have a respect for law, who do have a sense of morality, who do have a sense of honor, who actually understand what the word integrity means. If you don't have integrity, if you have a criminal record, you have no business representing me. You have no business standing up and say, I want the job of representing you. And if you can't handle your own campaign finances, then you sure as hell don't have any business voting in multi-million-dollar contracts on a state level. In fact, more to the point, can step down, resign, and allow the criminal justice system or the attorney general's office to conduct the investigations into your campaign affairs. Here's the first thing. If you're running a campaign, have accountability for your money. Don't think that you can pay off personal credit card debts with the money that people gave you to run your campaign. And sure as hell, don't get your weave done on taxpayer money. This is not taxpayer money, but campaign money.
I'm even willing to accept, you made a mistake. You made a simple mistake. Say you got a speeding ticket, you got a DUI once. Accept your penance, accept where you failed, own that shit, and friggin' when you get questioned about it, don't sidestep. Don't do the political two-step. Admit that you fucked up. And I'll take you as a person who made a mistake. A lot of people make that mistake. Shit, I've made mistakes. I'm completely fine with that. The issue is, are you honest about it? Or do you pretend that, and my other issue is, does it affect your ability to do the job? If you can't maintain finances in your personal life, and I understand people go through hardship, right? People go through serious problems. But my issue is, are you continuously going through those problems? Do you make it is it a stable point in instability in your life that is constant, where you're constantly trying to get one over on your creditors? You're constantly trying to get one over on the people who represent you, because that's where I draw the line. Is this a character flaw? In a lot of cases, it's a character flaw with these politicians. You find that they'll wax poetic about every failure in their life, and they'll make up some story, and they'll bring in a hatchet man or a fixer to come and craft some beautiful narrative. And
but that's
then
the thing
that's
that's what pisses people off, Julian. That's what pisses people off about politics.
The fixers.
You've got a perfectly good bill right now in Concord seeking to eliminate something that has no viable, valid purpose.
What?
That is the inspection sticker.
Agreed.
And what winds up happening? The bill winds up getting gutted in the Senate because the senators of this state are on the take from the New Hampshire Association, or the Auto Dealers Association, whatever the hell it is, the collection of used car salesmen. So that way there, when you take your vehicle into a dealership, they can gouge you and tell you need $1,500 worth of work when all you need is a set of brake pads. But that activity is protected because there's campaign money that's coming out of the New Hampshire Auto Dealers Association that's going directly into the campaign coffers of the New Hampshire state senators. And I, for one, am sick and fucking tired of this shit. Sick and tired of it.
My issue with that is I've spoken to many law enforcement in the state, and they flat out tell you they don't want to have to continue to do this. In a lot of cases, you're checking it. Your car is mechanically sound. The mechanic knows it's sound. You know it's sound. You have no issues. Your brake pads are good. Your suspension's good. Your car's not rotting and falling apart. It's not in danger of crashing or being a hazard to people as a whole. But you have a check engine light on because there's a sensor somewhere in your fucking car that is throwing an electric code, and now you got to spend $2,000 to find the sensor and replace the $100 part. And you're sitting there going, why? Like, this is me. I'm not a fucking millionaire. I'm not an electrical engineer. That's why I hate modern cars. And I'm going back classic. I'm going to get a 69 Plymouth Fury for my next car. And I'm just sick of cars where I got to spend thousands of dollars to find a little fucking computer chip somewhere in the damn
the cars
thing.
today are computers. There's no question about it. I mean, I've got a 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and that thing is one gigantic rolling computer.
Oh, I got my wife
a perfect
a
example.
22 Genesis GV70, and I love the car. Fantastic. But the car is one giant computer.
Mm-hmm.
If one thing electrical in that thing goes wrong, the whole car lights up like a Christmas tree. And I am all set with having to go every year to get an inspection just so I can be told that something that isn't broken needs fixing.
Now, let's juxtapose that with what I saw Saturday. Just outside of Concord, I was heading southbound on 93, coming northbound on 93, was a Honda Civic with no front bumper, no rear bumper, and no hood.
Like no cover, no front bumper cover and rear bumper cover?
No,
or no bumper at all?
No bumper. No bumper.
Well, that's
no bumper.
Weird.
No bumper front, no bumper back, and no hood. So, here's the thing. Do I need, if I am, hey, listen, I only train cops. I'm not out there, having to pull these guys. I mean, I certainly did my time. I'm being sarcastic. There's a perfect example of a vehicle that's not safe for highway travel.
Yeah.
So why do you, if you have a 2022 or a 2023 or a 2024, my Jeep is brand new. I've got less than 30,000 miles on it. My car doesn't need an inspection.
No.
More to the point, go focus on the people who are driving around with no front bumper, with no rear bumper. How about these idiots that are doing 80 miles an hour down 93 with a donut? By the way, if you haven't happened to notice, these rocket scientists, that your donut says do not exceed, it's like 40, maybe 45 miles an hour on a donut, and you're doing 80 on a donut. Stop those people. Now, local cops, they don't want to get involved. Why? Because they don't make any money off of it. The money goes to the state. So it's not like they're putting money into their pockets.
No.
Not that I'm saying and not that I'm advocating that local law enforcement should be revenue generators, because that's not the point of law enforcement.
No.
You're not out there to make money for the municipality.
But there's a lot of laws in the books that are simply there for revenue generation.
But if I'm driving a
it's
cruiser-
there for state revenue generation, not local revenue generation.
But if I'm driving a cruiser down the street, as vehicles are driving towards me, I can look at that and go, yeah, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Geez, the front windshield is smashed out. There's major portions of this vehicle that should be there that are missing.
Yeah.
You don't need a dealership and you don't need a garage to do a $45 annual inspection that dings people on the sensor light, the check engine light, the little chip that I have in my windshield. I had to just reschedule my safe light because they've got to do the resin fill because I got to go and get an inspection sticker. But my car, which is brand freaking new, that doesn't have any problems with it, is going to wind up getting filled because I got a little chip in my windshield.
Yeah.
That I now have to, I mean, fortunately, it's not out of pocket. I've got comprehensive. But the point being is that this is stupidity. And so money runs politics.
What bugs
and
me-
money and the ability to enrich oneself through politics is why half of these idiots get involved. And that's why it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're corrupt, if you're crooked, if you don't have a sense of right and wrong, if you have no integrity, then guess what? You're going to get called out. Your name is going to be on the front page. And we're going to demand that you step down. And we'll find people to vote you out because people like Karen Leot Hill have no business overseeing anything, representing other people, or having a say in a multi-million-dollar budget. Disagree? 833-603-8255. Phone lines are open. 833-603-8255. Much more of Granite State Live coming up right after this. I'm so sick and tired of these people.
I'm right
Honest
there
to
with
God,
you.
just put them in prison. Get the gallows out, for God's sake.
United We Stand, A Marine's Fight. Written by Julian Acciard. I wrote this book to decipher through the tumultuous political dialogue and political gangbanging we see on both sides of the aisle between politicians, activists, influencers, and pundits, and get down to brass tacks solutions in order to save our republic. Again, United We Stand, A Marine's Fight, written by Julian Acciard. You can purchase the book on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble.
Would you rather spend time with family and friends in the pool or at the barbecue rather than landscaping your yard? Well, Augusta Lawn Care is here to help you with all of your landscaping needs. Proudly serving southern New Hampshire, we handle everything. Weekly mowing, spring and fall cleanups, bush trimming, mulch installs, lawn treatments, aeration, dethatching, and even snow plowing and salting when the dreaded winter hits. Call Augusta Lawn Care today and let your yard be the best looking yard on the block. Call 603-331-4768. Augusta Lawn Care, locally owned, professionally done. Call 603-331-4678 or visit us online at AugustaLawnCareServices.com/Londonderry. That's AugustaLawnCareServices.com/Londonderry.
Not everyone can get up every day and look for ways to piss people off. But here at GraniteRock.com, we do that almost every day. I can't tell you how many times someone's lost their SHIT and threatened to end us. But we're still here, pissing people off. It's almost like we enjoy it. And we've been doing it since 2006. That's almost 2 decades of news, politics, and opinion, and now podcasts, and we're just getting started. We believe in principles before parties and politicians. We defend free markets and individual liberty, and if that makes you mad, it makes us smile. We're like Grandma after she stopped caring what other people thought. If that sounds refreshing, you need to check us out. This is Steve McDonald for Granite Rock, and we'll keep shining the light on them for you.
This could be the moment we've been waiting for. with a chance to feel alive.
Sometimes we forget we live in one of the most beautiful states in the country. This summer, vacation right here and discover your new.
This is where it all begins. This is where it all begins.
All right, I kind of like that. It's generic bump music. We're trying some new segment introduction / bump music tonight. So
I don't mind it. I
like
love
that.
some good jazz, man. It's jazz, blues, classic rock. Just throw it at me.
So I'm on a you know who Brian Culbertson is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, I am on a Brian Culbertson kick. He's a modern, what would you call it, smooth jazz?
I'm
guess.
okay with smooth
Yeah,
jazz.
smooth jazz. So he's a smooth jazz pianist. I don't know. I got on his one of his songs was actually the on hold music for AirTran back when AirTran was a thing before they got snatched up by Southwest. And yeah, sitting on hold for I don't know hour and 45 minutes listening to this one Brian Culbertson song. I'm like, I actually like that, you know. So I this is before Shazam was a thing, but Verizon had a version of Shazam. Shazam is a service. You press the button, you hold your phone up to the audio source, and it identifies the song for you. And it's actually pretty convenient. So they had this version of Shazam. So I heard the song one day, and I Shazammed it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is back when Rhapsody, if you remember Rhapsody,
I remember Rhapsody.
was a streaming service. It was before any of the Pandora or Spotify or anything else.
Rhapsody and Napster were the two where you could just get anything.
Yeah, the problem with Napster. Oh, let me tell you a story.
Remember
so
that shit.
I was visiting a friend who was out of state, so I was visiting a friend for like 3 or 4 days, and I had never heard about Napster, and somebody had told me about it. I'm like, hey, can I use your computer? And he's like, sure. So I installed Napster on his computer, and I'm downloading all this music, and I'm like, this is great. And he calls me like a month later, and he goes, my computer is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, because there were so many viruses that
yes.
wound up in Trojan horses that wound up, being downloaded as a result of Napster. Every time you would download a song, not only would you get the song, but you'd get a virus, or you'd get a Trojan, or you'd get some other type of malware or spyware.
You better have the best cybersecurity program running on your freaking laptop.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad for Marshall because I literally destroyed his computer over the course of about 3 evenings, and it was harmless. At least so it seemed. It was just you're just downloading some music, But the nice thing about Rhapsody was that it was not a peer-to-peer download. It was you paid $10 a month, $9.99 a month or something, and you got access to all this music, and so
like iTunes and all that's out as.